G'day, I'm Paul,
I'm Peter.
and we are
Peas
on a Pod. The date today is 11102020, and we're just in the midst of a lockdown here in Melbourne. How's it going over in South Australia?
You wouldn't know there was a pandemic on, to be honest.
You got 0 cases. We had like about 700 plus cases about a week ago, and then they just totally locked us down.
Yeah.
They're slowly going to release it. I think we're down to about 15 new cases a day. I think we've had about 700, like the whole of Australia has had about 950 deaths, I think. And I think Victoria, my state, has had about 700 deaths. So
wow,
we're the bad guys.
Pretty highly stacked, isn't it?
Well, your state, South Australia, and your old state, New South Wales, to the north, to the west and to the north of me.
Yeah.
They won't let us in. I'm not even allowed to leave my city to go to the rural part of my state. I'm not allowed to travel more than 5 kilometers. It's illegal. There are police pulling people over, asking to see your papers, right?
Wow.
And if you don't have them, there's a big fine. And if you resist, then there's a fucking, I don't know. I've seen footage of police pulling pregnant women out through the window of the car that just smashed in the driver's window because they'll refuse to comply.
You're kidding.
Yanking them out, like the pregnant women and stuff. It's just, I don't know how they get, like, there are cameras everywhere these days. The police are just looking like real bad guys right now.
Isn't it? It looks so bad.
It looks so bad.
Really
They're
does.
strangling. I've seen police footage of them. I don't know how much footage they haven't shown on social media or the news, but there's footage that's shown of police grabbing women by the throat and it's walking into people's homes and arresting them for posting the wrong thing on social media, on Facebook or something.
Wow.
It's just sickening. Like they'll need to either replace the police force after this is all over, hopefully, or just give them some counselling and saying, listen, the civilians are not guilty until proven innocent anymore.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, it's just, and how much are the fines for if you're caught outside the 5 kilometers?
The only fine I know about is if you gather in a group that's you're not supposed to be in, because they've alleviated the 8 p.m. curfew, so it went to 9 p.m. and then I think recently they've said no, you're allowed to go for a walk at night time as well. So, but since they've said that, they've said also if you decide to have a little party, it'll be a $5,000 fine per person.
Wow.
So if you ever decide to go over to somebody's place and just have a couple of drinks and socialize, that's $5,000 each.
Wow.
So there's just casual socializing that people do. Then there are things like birthday parties, which are not a major thing. Christmas is a pretty major thing, but it's not as major as somebody who's in hospital and you want to visit them. That can lead to a massive fine if you try to visit somebody in a hospital who's dying. And if they're dead and you want to visit them for their funeral or see your other loved ones, you'd better not have 11 people there because I think that's an extra $20,000 per person.
$20,000.
I don't know. I'm exaggerating. I don't know.
Yeah. But
it's a big deal. You cannot attend a funeral without. You can't exceed the 10-person or 5-person limit or whatever it is. A wedding, I think, was 3 people, like the bride, the groom, and the minister.
That's it. Wow. Not even the parents.
I don't think. Well, how many parents would you need? You need like 4 parents most of the time.
4. Yeah.
Right. That's too many. That's 7.
Yeah. Wow.
So those people, if you want to get married, you'd have to be an idiot. You'd have to be like saying, all right, the baby's about to come out. Let's just fucking get married right now.
Something like that. Yeah.
In that situation, you don't want to have a bastard. In that situation, you might go like, let's just do it. Come on, let's just go and sign the papers and not have our dream wedding. Guys don't have it. guys don't fantasize about weddings
Well, that's it.
the way
Exactly.
women do. You had an amazing wedding, right?
Oh, it was pretty special, wasn't it? Actually.
Yeah.
I
I wish I had a copy of the portrait. but
I'm surely you've got a couple of photos.
Oh yeah, but I would love a fucking. I would put that on my wall as a mural that all over my fucking wall, like your photo.
It's pretty
the
funny,
painting.
isn't it?
It's funny.
Pretty goddamn funny.
It's like a Thai person's interpretation of what a white person looks like.
That's right. Yeah. It's like it'd be like the racist cartoons from the 70s. That's how the white people.
Yeah, it's racist against white people. Like,
yeah,
it's the funniest thing.
But unintentionally.
No, yeah, that's always unintentional.
Like a 70s cartoon. It's like the opposite would be like the.
Like if you were made into a doll for black people to play, black kids to play with, that's what. It looks like.
Oh, it's too funny, man. Too funny.
But I'm not saying Thai people are black. It's just they're just.
Yeah.
I don't know. How many different races are there, by the way?
Oh, if you go, what? I think there's 3, isn't there? There's
Mongoloid, Negroid, and Caucasoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's an easier way to do it.
Yeah.
Look at I mean, you could subdivide those again, but
yeah,
I think that's a pretty clean subdivision. Like a lot of people are like half castes.
Yeah, but you can pretty much like if you just talk about like if you cut out all the expats and all that sort of stuff that are in a place, then just whatever the locals are, you can pretty much draw lines on the globe to separate the 3.
Like we're 1/64th Māori now, right? Given our grandfather.
Yes.
Great grandfather. So 1/64th is 8 generations, isn't it? So the first one would have been 0, right? Yeah. And then Jack Nicholson, was he second?
No, because it halves each time. So like my mum's 1/32nd. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So going back in that direction, her dad was 1/16th.
Yes.
His
so that's Jack and Mary were 16th.
Well, let's say Mary was Irish and she wasn't Māori at all.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So 16th, and then 1/8 for his parent. And then okay, I didn't count it, but 7.
No, neither did I. 7. Yeah, I think it's 7. Yeah.
But Kevin, is it? Oh, no, Daniel. Is it Daniel or Kevin who's dark? Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, many years ago though.
But he looks very Māori.
I can't remember to be honest, but I do remember one of them, but I can't remember which one.
But at least you would say he's quite Māori. He's a cop now.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
But he's very dark.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? There wasn't much like by the time it got to us, it was pretty much sort of gone, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, he's in the same 64th as we are. He's our direct cousin.
Yeah, just some kind of recessive gene. Just carry on. Yeah.
So, if anyone thinks you're being racist against black people and say, "What did you talk about, Willis?" You know, we're fucking black as as our cousin is.
And then they look you up and down and go, "Get the fuck out of here."
Well, the thing is with Māori culture, and I love this. It's so beautiful. It's like combi drivers, right? I used to drive a combi.
Yeah.
And we always used to honk to each other and wave.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a thing.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing exists with Māori culture, because I met a prince. He was in a play with me, and it was Les Mis, and he was Jean Valjean. And he held my face and did the forehead thing and look into each other's eyes. Have you ever had a Māori do that to you?
Yeah, I have in New Zealand, yeah.
Exactly. Because any part Māori is full Māori, apparently.
Yeah, right.
So they're inclusive, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how I can cash in on that when I go to New Zealand, but I think I might go
like a piece of land or something.
I don't know.
Couple of acres of forest.
No, that's good. I mean, I've spoken to other Māoris who said you should really look into your Māori heritage. It's very important. Because they're so proud. I mean, I can't think of like my Irish heritage and my other types of heritage. They're not as glorious. They're not as They're not as cool.
No, it doesn't seem as cool, does it?
No. We once were warriors, man. That's why we get aggressive and shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you taught me the kick fucking technique, the ostrich, or the emu. Like, when you see a bouncer who doesn't want to let you in.
the emu.
Do the emu. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. So,
yeah, but no, I've never seen any like photos of him or anything. I don't know how many was it before photos were around. I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been.
Would have been, yeah. So
what years
are we talking? What kind of years are we talking here? Like
say 25 years per generation. I'm 43 and I haven't had a kid.
So like 1850s or something like that.
You just turned 40.
Sorry?
You just turned 40.
Not yet. Just about to.
When's your birthday?
February.
Okay, so it's currently October. You're just about to turn 40. All right.
Just about.
So we can't say 25 years as a generation. But in the past we could, right?
Oh, in the past it was like 16 to 20, wasn't it?
Let's average it to 25, I reckon.
Yeah,
for a
reckon
generation.
25 is safe, yeah. So what's that? That's 4, so that's 175. So yeah, like...
Did you just do that in your head?
Oh, well, I just made it 200 and took off 20, like... I just did it by 8 and then took off 1.
Nice. All right. So, no, there weren't photographs since 175 years ago.
No.
There might be a painting of him.
Yeah, but I don't even know which part of the island was he, North or South Island, or I don't know anything like that.
I don't even know if it was consensual.
Sorry,
consensual?
In like central, like on the North Island.
Consensual.
Oh, consensual.
Was our white great grandmother like, yeah, cool, let's breed with the Maori? Right. Was he more like, here is a baton?
Yeah.
And here is you bending over or not. Right?
That I wonder which way it went.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I know which way I'd be more proud of. I'm sorry, females. No, I'm siding with you. How did you misinterpret me? That's shocking.
That's terrible.
It's old though. It's black and white days. By the way, you can get a sodium lamp and make everything in the room black and white. I just learned this when discovering the secrets of how to create black fire. There is a certain type of
sodium lamp.
Yeah, because the light from the sodium balls inside the what's it called, the element, only puts out some kind of yellowish light, but that doesn't show any other colors. So everything looks black and white. Doesn't matter what color it is. Everything's black and white.
In the room?
Yeah. So in real life, like that. And so if you start putting a little bit of sodium into the fire, it comes out black.
Yeah, right, okay.
But everyone else, at all times, is just black and white. Everything in the room is just black and white. It's amazing. I would love to see one of those lights.
I don't fully understand what's going on, but yeah.
Well, no, because white light reflects off all the different types of what absorbs light and what reflects it and so on. And so we get all the different colors that our retina's been evolved to see.
Yeah, okay.
But restricting it into a sodium lamp, we're only getting black and white. It's amazing. I'm very interested in the electromagnetic spectrum in terms of the short waves of gamma all the way to the long waves of radio. So the light spectrum that the retina has evolved to be able to see in terms of the electromagnetic spectrum, as animals on this planet, we've evolved to see from infrared to ultraviolet. Infrared being the longer waves and ultraviolet being the shorter waves heading towards gamma. But there's still no comparison to the massive electromagnetic spectrum. That's all we can see. That's the retina. Yeah, we need tools to be able to see radio frequencies and X-rays and microwaves and so on. Microwaves are about 1 centimeter long, and gamma rays are like a nanometer long or something. Radio waves are like a kilometer long.
Yeah, right. Wow. But I meant because I'm pretty sure I've seen like a graph before with the whole electromagnetic spectrum, and then it shows what we can see. It's just a tiny fraction of it.
Yeah, it's a sliver.
Yeah.
But we've been smart enough to figure out tools to be able to see these sort of things. We still can't see things like dark matter and dark energy and stuff like that. So we're still a bit blind.
Can't wait to find out what that is, eh?
Yeah. Here's a question. You know the double slit experiment where they send electrons or photons, anything subatomic sized, anything smaller than an atom. Like basically an atom, the nucleus of an atom, if it was like a pinhead in the center of a football ground, the electron would orbit around the outside of the stadium. That's the distance an electron orbits outside its nucleus, basically.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I understand that. Yeah, that's crazy.
So we're talking about subatomic particles. So one electron is tiny. So if we fire subatomic particles like electrons or photons, which might not even actually exist, photons are sort of like invented by Einstein to explain packets of waves, because light, electromagnetism is basically ripples, waves, right? And so if you send that out of a barrel of an electron gun, the barrel fires towards these two slits, and on the on the receiver wall, which is like photographic paper, you're getting wave interference patterns. Like it's gone through as two waves going through the two slits as liquid, interfering with waves as they would if it was water, and then creating like 5 or 6 lines on the wall instead of just two straight lines of would see if they were just particles. But if you have an observer, then you just get two straight lines.
That's right. Yeah.
And this happens also even if you only fire one subatomic particle like a photon or an electron at once. And it's insane. It's like it's gone into the future, waited for the expansion of the universe to catch up with it, then gone, boom, I'm here, right? or some crazy shit. And then there's things like, this is quantum mechanics, by the way, which is not fully understood at all, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're in primitive times in terms of this discovery. For those of you in the future who understand how this all works and you think we're fucking morons, it's not our fault. Nobody else knew either, right? We're waiting for Einstein to
collective knowledge of the population to help us along.
Yeah, that's right. And we're waiting for the second coming of Einstein.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, it's amazing, especially quantum entanglement. How you've got a particle and its antimatter particle twin that could be on other sides of the universe or other side of the galaxy, let's say. If one rotates to the right, the other one's going to rotate to the left.
Yeah, that's
incredible. So if you swap that spin, it's going to go exactly instantaneously faster than the speed of light. Boom. Both of them at the same time will swap. I don't understand. That's faster than light travel. It's almost like everything's in a single point and the universe is just a hologram.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around, like, the double slit one. I mean, I can understand what's going on. I can.
Well, how do you explain the observer? I don't understand the observer consequence.
It makes zero sense, doesn't it? Makes zero sense.
You can easily understand that a wave might be like, or electromagnetic light, or, you know, all the frequencies from radio through to visible light through to gamma. That whole thing could just come out as a wave, right? Like water, and it just ripples through the fabric of space-time until it hits something, and then you go, boom, my retina just absorbed a particle of it, or a part of that wave, a packet of energy from it. It's a wave. It's just boom, hit my retina. Now I can see there's a star over there, right?
Yeah.
But when they start going, no, we're gonna collapse the field of probability down to a single point, and now it's only here because we've looked at it. It's like saying the moon wasn't there before, but now you've woken up and you've looked at the moon, and now boom, it's there.
And now it's there. Yeah.
It's a bit dumb, but it meets with fucking observation. Like, it sounds stupid and like primitive magic shit, right?
Kind of like your Renner and Truman Show.
Yeah, that's right. It's like reality doesn't exist unless you look at it.
Yeah.
Like if nobody's, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Yeah, or like reality's sort of falling in place in front of you as you're walking around. Like it's creating itself in front of you.
Yeah. like you're playing computer game.
Yeah. 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 Wow.
It is.
That's pretty mental, man. Like, it's so hard to wrap your head around some of those concepts.
In everyday life,
so
though,
complicated.
Your everyday existence seems sane to you, though, doesn't it? You're seeing the same patterns over the years.
Yeah, same people. Like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
People age at a normal rate and all that sort of stuff. Time seems to travel at the same speed as it always has.
It all seems to fit. Yeah.
Okay. So how about your emotions? How are they right now? You feeling all right?
Yeah, feeling fine.
But you're going through some serious shit in your life right now. I want to get into that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, look, it is, but it's one of those things, that the less you think about it, the better. To be honest.
You've just become an uncle as well.
Oh, that's fantastic, little William.
So you always say William, not Billy.
I don't know, because I know last time I said Billy to Stephen on the phone, he said, "Oh yeah, William," like not in like a correcting me way, but he just said it like that. So I went, "Oh, okay, William."
Yeah, I reckon he's going to be he's going to eventually say Billy. He's going to say every nickname you possibly can, like you do with a dog, right?
He'll definitely be a Billy. Yeah.
Yeah, Billy's like a cute baby toddler thing that you say to a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
William's a little bit formal, isn't it? It's like William.
Yeah.
Can't say William at all the time. It's like takes up like 1.5 seconds to say that. It's like Billy. It's faster.
Yeah, Billy. Well, there's other options as well. You can have Will, or you can have Bill, or you can have Billy.
Yeah, but they don't sound cute. When he's older, he can be called that.
Yeah, yeah.
In the meantime, it's got to have a Y on the end. You can't say Williamy.
Williamy.
Willie. Billy sounds better than Willie.
Willie's probably not the most appropriate nickname.
Have you met him?
No, I haven't.
Why not?
Because I've been in Adelaide and they've been in Sydney.
Are you allowed to travel between the two states at the moment?
I think we are actually. I think just very recently it happened without having to quarantine. Actually.
Oh, really? So you could go and visit him?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's a possibility now. Yeah.
Are you gonna see him soon?
Well, yeah, as soon as I can. I'm sort of, working pretty hard. Don't get much time off, but it's definitely on the cards.
Now, you have worked, let's say, 5 days a week, 6 days a week for the past 20 years?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you must be a billionaire by now.
No.
Where's all the money gone?
Well, I don't know. It just goes on lifestyle and, I'm just a lowly chef, mate. I'm not the most highest paid job, that's for sure.
See, I have hardly worked. No, I mean, I do shit occasionally, but nowhere near as much as you. You're the hardest worker I know.
Yeah, well, I know harder workers than me.
No, you don't. Come on.
Yeah. No,
really?
It's pretty good. It's pretty brutal. I can't do it forever, that's for sure. But while I can, it's okay. It's a good job for my body as well. I'm not sitting down all the time. So
what happened with your swimming coaching?
Well, all the pools are still closed.
Ah, right. So you've completed some sort of teacher training for that?
I didn't actually fully finish it because it all sort of happened. I've got to do a few more. I've got to do a little bit more before it's completed. But all the time's expired now. But I'm sure they'll let us do it because of what happened.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you were a kid training at school, how often did you swim?
Oh, heaps. Well, in like high school when I was playing water polo as well, it was like swimming and water polo in the same week, and that was, geez, I don't know. It'd be at least 2 swimming trainings a week, and they would be like 2-hour trainings, or it could have been 3. It was 2 or 3, and then there'd be 2 water polo trainings a week, an hour and a half, something like that, and then at least 1 water polo game a week, if not 2 as well.
Okay, so tell me how many kilometers would you say you swam per week?
Okay. So
let's look at the English. I'm just going to Google how far it is across the English Channel.
Yeah, right.
Because I asked you about whether or not you could make it.
Oh, back then I could have. No way now. Back then, I easily could have done it back then.
I think it's about 26
kilometers. Because the other thing, like
21 miles.
Half of our training was it wasn't just like slow pulsing freestyle. It was like butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, like sprinting. Then you'd have to do long distance. Water polo was treading water. I remember I used to be on boats like out at sea, like, and you could just see the land, and I'd be thinking in my head, oh, if the boat sunk, I reckon I'd be all right.
You're right.
So I reckon I could. Back then, I could have done that. How far is it? 11 miles, did you say?
No, 21 miles or 33 kilometers.
Okay, it's pretty far. I mean,
well, 33.7, so I'll say 34 kilometers to swim from Calais to Dover.
Yeah, I mean, look, back then I could have just kept swimming forever. So yeah, I mean, technically I could have done it then.
Well, I asked Stephen. He said he could wade water forever. I said, how long do you reckon you could wade in water for, waiting for like a rescue ship or
mate. Like, well, man, I played water polo, mate. That was I had to wade water while I was people were trying to push me underwater.
Well, tell me about the adventures of being pushed underwater or pushing somebody else underwater.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
What, nearly drowning? Was he talking about the deep end and stuff as well?
I did most of the drowning. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, what did you do? Tell me.
Oh, there's a few tricky things, you know, like I used to have these little things I could do with my leg. Like I could wrap my legs around one of their legs, and then I would flip my whole body over and then drag my knees towards my chest, and that would pull them underwater underneath me. And then so I could do that with my hands in the air, so it didn't look like I was doing anything. And then you could kick them. Then you can kick them while they're underneath you.
Has anyone ever been fully like had to be rescued?
Nah, everyone was pretty tough in that sport, man. Like it's like everyone took a beating. It was different to playing rugby. Like I wouldn't say it was more violent than rugby because
which rugby did you play?
Rugby union. Yeah, and you know that was pretty brutal because it's like in the water there's more viscosity, but it was pretty brutal sometimes, man. Like there was a lot of violence happened under the water. That's for sure.
Did you ever have a blood nose or anything?
I gave someone a blood nose once with the back of my head.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, but it's that were good days, man. That was a great sport, and like you had to be a certain kind of fitness to be able to play it. But everyone who played it in that sort of competition was good at it, good at swimming and strong people. So it was good sport.
Okay, 50 meters is an Olympic-sized pool.
Yeah.
How far could you get in one breath?
Oh, I could do. I've done I could do a whole 50 back then.
With a dive?
Yeah, with a dive, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
It is, and I would only just be able to do it, but I could do it. Yeah.
Did the exertion of your arms moving and stuff hinder you in terms of breath holding time? Could you have just like made it a longer period of time if somebody did a stopwatch? If you just like put your head under the water and just timed you?
Yeah, I could definitely go longer like that. Yeah.
How far do you remember? Did you get a? I think I've done 1 minute. I think I've done 1 minute 18 once. Yeah, that was hard.
I wasn't that much more than that. I could probably do like 1 minute 40 to 1 minute 50, something like that. I think.
You know, the world record holders are like 13. I don't know. I'm going to look it up. But I mean, Tom Cruise did it in one of the Mission Impossibles. He held his breath for 6 minutes.
Yeah, well, there's special kind of trainings you can do for that kind of stuff, and like you could any person would be able to improve what they can already do by many times.
I
never did that.
Like, all right. You know, like, okay. I'm gonna get you to guess now. Within the nearest 2 minutes, what's the record? What's the world record?
Let's go 17.
Higher? Too low. It's higher.
23.
Correct, because it's 22. 22 minutes. And
fuck, I was going to say 21 at first, and then I'm 17.
That's still pretty amazing. Like, seriously, can you imagine holding your breath for 22 minutes?
No, I couldn't, man. That's incredible. Well, look up the deepest free dive. Like the guys that hold their breath and then they go down the rope to see how deep they can go.
Right. Oh yeah, I've got it. Okay, give me the meters. Nearest 10 meters.
Fuck, let me think. Okay. Dicka. It's fucking heaps, I know that. Let's go 135 meters.
Higher.
Fuck. 180?
Higher.
Wow. Over 200?
Yep.
What is it? Fuck.
214.
That's just mind-boggling, man. So that's like 4 and a bit Olympic swimming pools.
Oh yeah, it's too. Jeez, I didn't think of it that way.
Going down.
Yeah. That is a long way. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then you got to come back up.
Yeah, that was free diving.
Yeah.
I didn't even look up scuba diving.
Oh, that doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count. Yeah. Now this was some guy who had, it looks like he had a double foot flipper, like one flipper for both feet,
like a dolphin feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Imagine how restrictive that would be. Jeez, you'd want to just have one purpose, wouldn't you?
Well, I think the way they do it is like almost like they have to go into like meditative state. Like they've got to lower their heart rate so low that they don't need as much oxygen. So everything has to be done really slowly and methodically.
This guy's name was Herbert Nietzsche.
Yeah, right.
He says, each time I think I've reached a limit, there is a door. It opens and the limit is gone. There's some incentive for those of you who are fucking useless.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I'm.
I think they have oxygen on the way down, but like they don't take it. Like it's just for emergencies, but.
Right. Okay.
And then I'm sure.
Wait. He surpassed this in 2007 with a no limit dive to 253 meters. I don't understand. He can hold his breath for more than 9 minutes and has set a total of 33 world records. 32 of these are across all of the 8 recognized freediving disciplines, unrivaled achievements in the freediving history. Herbert has set an additional world record in the traditional Greek freediving discipline, Skandalopetra. No Limit is the deepest and most extreme freediving discipline, which uses a weighted sled to descend and a buoyancy device to ascend. Right, okay. So
he gets a bit of help.
Yeah, so with that one, he got to 253 with a weight.
Okay. I wonder how much. I'm sure that would make a difference, but I wonder how much. I guess about 30 meters difference, probably.
Yeah, I'd easily beat that record if I had a big chunk of concrete tied around my waist.
That's crazy shit, eh? What the fuck?
No, yeah.
But I wonder if the 22-minute guy could go further.
I reckon he'd have to be very stationary. Like we were talking about before, you can't just be kicking your legs and stuff.
Because there'd be heaps of pressure as well, like on your ears and your head. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they'd have to. What do you call it? He's got a pincher on his nose.
Yeah, but still, isn't it like every 10 meters of descent is like the equivalent of like 1 atmosphere or something?
Is it?
I think I heard some crazy bottle cap fact like that. But
well, I was watching a cartoon from Kyrgyzstan. You know, in a nutshell, those cartoon videos on YouTube.
Oh, yep.
And it was something like, what would happen if the Tsar bomb, which is massively bigger than all the Hiroshima bombs and everything, was exploded in the Mariana Trench? Would it throw the Earth off its axis? Would it cause an earthquake? Would it blow up all these different things? And apparently the pressure from the water down there would just basically suppress the whole thing. You'd get bubbles of radioactivity.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't cause any real noticeable problems. It would kill all the fish down there.
Yeah, but so does that because the bomb needs like.
Well, then they compared it.
It needs atmosphere to react, does it?
It's not just that; it's the amount of force. It's like saying, see, the thing is, nature has so much, like the amount of force needed to cause the pressure of the tectonic plates to push over each other. Yeah. Like in the Mariana Trench, there are two overlapping plates. The bomb, the nuclear bomb we've got, is negligible compared to the amount of force that they put out.
Yeah, then that makes sense. That makes sense because those things cause huge earthquakes.
Yeah, and this wouldn't apparently.
Yeah.
Like the the Himalayas are all tectonic plates, just brushing up against the continent of Asia from
that's
basically
crazy,
the Indian.
They find like heaps of fish fossils up there.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like maybe not necessarily fish, but one of those old like those ancient like trilobites or some shit.
I've got one in my pot plant. I think I got it from Egypt.
Yeah, right.
They're only like $5.
Yeah, I've got a chessboard made out of limestone, and it's covered in fossils.
Fossils?
Yeah.
Far out. That's even awesome.
The pieces of like you can see bits of old like shellfish and shit in it. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you think are the most interesting natives?
Natives?
Yeah.
Like people?
Yeah.
Shit, man, I wouldn't know. I've not really met heaps, to be honest. Interesting would have to be the Andaman Island dudes.
Oh, you told me a little bit about that. Tell me about the Andaman.
Well, I don't really know that much about. Well, all I know is it's a cut off civilization. Basically, they've been living. I think it's southwest of India or something. I think it's part of India, and it's full restricted zone. And they reckon these people have got like lineage to stuff like some of the people that walked off the African continent. Like thousands of years ago, and they've just been living like that. And then they got cut off, and they're on these islands after all the sea rising and stuff like that. And they just live there, man, living that same life.
It says here in Wikipedia, the Andaman Islands are home to the Andamanese, a group of indigenous people that includes a number of tribes, including the Jarawa and Sentinelese tribes. While some of the islands can be visited with permits, entry to others, including North Sentinel Island, is banned by law. The Sentinelese are generally hostile to visitors and have had little contact with any other people. The government protects their right to privacy.
Yeah, well, that poor bloody kid, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago now, he was like an American, I think he might have been Mormon or some kind of Catholic, what do you call them when they go out overseas trying to convert
missionaries?
He's like a missionary of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And he rocked up and was like taking photos of himself, writing letters to his parents and stuff. And then he rocked up on the beach and they speared him.
It's a lot of trust.
They just speared him and then dragged his body into the bushes. And then that was it.
Yeah. God's not going to protect you from natives.
Nah, man. Nah.
You need to bring a first fleet of some kind.
But yeah, maybe like a few cholera blankets or something.
Now think about this. Let me ask you about the ethics of colonization. Now, the Earth is a ball, and we're all stuck in this sort of prison planet where there's no escape, and it's just a bunch of people, now 8 billion of us. Imagine if we just respected the natives in every land, and because we're sort of like mostly, I guess, European, we stayed in Europe and we didn't leave. Would you say that was just like the only fair thing to do? To leave all the natives throughout the entire unknown world to run the world as they saw fit? Or do you think they're just conducting tribal wars on each other all the time anyway, and it serves them right if they haven't invented guns yet?
I mean, that did happen, but then how far back do you want to go, man? Like, do you want to go to the Neanderthals and the Denisovians? Like, because
what's a Denisovian?
They're like the Russian version of the Neanderthal.
Yeah, I want to go back all the way. If you're talking about nature, we're not talking about just humans anymore, are we?
Well, humans are the first humans who would have been similar to those tribal ones from back in the day would have been the ones to kill off all the Neanderthals. and all the mammoths and the giant creatures and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then people came from Africa. They went places first and took over, So
let's talk about two specific. Okay, well, I don't think it's equal to talk about American Indians who were they were just Mongolians who went across the, is it called Bering Strait?
Yeah, that's right.
When Alaska connected to Kamchatka?
Because I think that whole land, I think it was mainly Mongolians, but then I think there was a mixture of races that over a 10,000 year period got together and mated, and then they became the American Indians.
Right, so they're nowhere near as old as the Aborigines.
No, but they're still just as native, aren't they?
No, not as native. Nativeness must surely be dictated by the number of years.
Well, they could have been they could have some distant Aboriginal blood, because there could have been people from the Aboriginal, Australia.
Well, how do you get from Australia? No, they would have gone down from the north to Australia, wouldn't they? Down from
but
Vietnam.
But not all. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but then not all of them would have gone that way. Some of them might have gone north. Some of them could have gone south. So the same people.
Yeah.
There could be. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not
saying.
Well,
what are you saying? That would have been the same year that split would have happened, basically. Because Aborigines look.
It happened over tens of thousands of years. It's
closer to Africans.
Yeah, you can't really think of it as in it happened over a generation or something like that, this would have been a progressive thing that happened over thousands of years.
But American Indians, or let's say I don't know what they like to be called. What's the politically correct term for American Indians now?
I'm not Native Americans. I'm not quite sure.
Close enough.
I don't know what the PC.
But they definitely look Chinese.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In a certain kind of, let's say, 1,000, 2,000 year kind of way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
But Aborigines don't look like anyone who would have come from China.
No, but you're right. But there's
There's no way they came directly from Africa to Australia. There's no way that happened.
No, they would have crossed the land because Papua New Guinea came straight across to Australia back then. So they would have walked through Southeast Asia.
Maybe had canoes or some other technology.
Over Papua New Guinea and into northern Queensland, and then from there they've gone to the whole of Australia.
The distribution of humanity, I would say, has got to be to do with humans all wanting to fucking kill each other, right? Why else would there be Eskimos? Why else Inuit, right? Why would anyone go up north to live in the snow and the freezing cold instead of going, you know what? This sucks. I'm sick of eating seals and living in igloos. Let's go down south a bit, away from the fucking freezing cold.
Go to the beaches. Yeah,
go to the beach, right? It was because there was so much barbarian just trying to fucking kill each other, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was just trying to murder each other for different shit and take their stuff, and rape their women. That's the reason they would have just fled. There was a lot of fleeing, I think, going on in the early days.
I think you're probably right. There was a lot of fleeing.
And so the Aborigines would be no exception. They would have just been like, all right, these guys are fucked. These Neanderthals are trying to kill us.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of different types of human, at least 4 different types of human in those days.
Yes.
Neanderthals and, I don't know, Cro-Magnon men. I don't know what the deal is in terms of order of things.
Yeah, there's quite a lot. They keep filling in gaps. So there's.
But they coexisted and they didn't like each other.
No, they didn't.
It's like a monkey trying to make friends with a gorilla. No. We own this land. This is our territory. You're small. We're big. You're dead.
Yeah. No. I think Neanderthals were on average stronger than the average human.
So you would have needed a group of humans to take them down.
Well, no. They just had better weapons, better spears and shit like that.
Could Neanderthals use weapons?
I think they would have had sticks and stones and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the hominids had
Homo sapiens.
The Homo sapiens had spears and spear tips and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting that we really don't. I mean, we still have ape cousins alive today, We haven't killed them all. There's still gorillas and all the types of monkeys. There are heaps of monkeys.
Yeah, but they're not the same ones that we came from.
No, I know. But it's just like they've got fingers and they look in the face like the same as we do.
Yeah, they do.
Compared to an octopus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's pretty scary when you look at them really closely, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid to think that there was no kind of evolution.
I think so. Yeah,
So
it's stupid to think that.
So when I'm talking about the mathematics of ethics, what is worse? Having Aborigines own a gigantic continent where they're just fighting with each other anyway, right? They're killing each other, like raping, pillaging, and all that sort of stuff. And then we just breed ourselves into a massive billions of people in Europe and just say, look, we're not allowed to go anywhere else. Or like, let's just build ships and explore off what it looks like the end of the world. Just keep going that way.
It's funny that, like, I think it's difficult to talk about those kind of ethics in hindsight, like, because the ethics in that today are very different to the ethics back then.
Because ethics in nature don't exist, do they? There are no ethics in nature. A spider just fucking catches a fly and just fucking sucks its face out of it.
Yeah. There's just equilibrium.
I mean, we invented ethics. And this goes back to my questions to you about vegetarianism. Yeah. Like I'm opposed to nature as a vegetarian. Vegetarians are opposed to the natural order of things.
Yeah.
We want ethics to win.
Yes.
Because we are empathetic towards what would that feel like for ourselves or somebody we love to be like rounded up like in Auschwitz and fucking murdered.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what happens to animals, right?
Yeah.
So to talk about ethics at all, it like the way we're discussing this is correct. We're talking about multiple generations over thousands of years. We're not talking about current event shit like most people do with races and shit, which is basically dumbass language for what we're discussing.
Yeah.
Like talking about whether your skin color is fucking different from another person. It doesn't fucking matter, right?
Yeah.
It's so minor. But when we talk about the concept of nature winning and just everybody's just having anarchy, or whether or not we have organization and we start deciding ethics matter, let's not murder, steal, and rape. Let's have punishments for that even, right? So that we can clean up society and keep it, nice in terms of the socialization of things, so that we can do something more than just take what we want in the immediate term. It's like thinking ahead. Like it's actually beneficial even if you weren't trying to be kind about it. Like that's why, I mean, you might say monkeys are nice to each other by grooming each other, but you might say, okay, well, no, they just want to go further in their society and get stuff in return.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you might do something out of greed, but then I guess because maybe it's our religion. I was raised a Catholic. So you were an altar boy. I mean, I don't know how many dicks you sucked, but whatever.
Oh, heaps.
Like, how do you have ethics without bullshitting about, some sort of God looking over you? I mean, you can make it up and say it's beneficial for the purpose of getting stuff in return, but that's not true real ethics where you're selfless. That's selfish ethics in a way,
But I think just the pursuit of having a nice, safe society where no one's fleeing anywhere, I think that's enough. You don't need a god to have a want for that.
But monkeys, like apes, like all apes, basically groom each other, right? Pick fleas off each other's backs and stuff.
Yeah, because they know they're going to get it back to them.
But not only that, they'll get protection. They'll be in the favor of the greyback or whatever.
Yeah, right.
and also this is another way for a greyback to think twice about killing them for being a threat to be stealing the women or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff is to do with territory, but also territory of women ownership.
Oh, for the greyback it is, yeah.
Yeah. Like I mean, if we were naturally living as we're sort of bred to do, we wouldn't have a single wife, would we? We'd be killing anyone who comes near all of our women, and we'd be owning all the women in our domain until we were too weak to defend ourselves, at which point the women, evil as it might seem, would just leave us immediately and go straight after the young.
Passed on to the next sexy young
greyback. That's right. They would. Isn't that strange? Like, I mean, to think of that, okay, I often think of this from the male's perspective because I am male. Like, if I was an ape, if I was a greyback, I would conquer and control the area. And any male who came in my vicinity would be a threat, and I would have to scare him away or kill him or fight him or whatever, right? Yeah. Even my sons, right? Because they might want to have sex with all their cousins and stuff and their mum, who's like, they belong to me, right? They belong to me. But with a woman, a female version of an ape-like behavior would be, I want to have sex with the most powerful man there is.
Because I want the best babies.
Is that what it is?
Well, I think
they don't know that they want the best babies. They want, like monkeys, they wouldn't, apes, they wouldn't think long term.
No, it's not
instinctively, maybe.
It's not. Yeah, it's an instinct. It's not a thought process.
Does that make you curious about what instincts are? Like built-in knowledge?
Yeah, well, you've owned dogs. You've owned dogs before. You've seen it before.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the built-in bios that humans and animals are born with. Like we're born with the ability to suck a nipple and squeeze somebody's thumb, right?
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's right.
We're pretty useless. But that's still good. I mean, if you couldn't suck a nipple when you're born, you're dead.
You're dead.
We can breathe. Okay, but we can also breathe. We can breathe after we've coughed out our whatever that stuff is, right? We can suck a nipple and we can hold onto a thumb, which is basically the equivalent of holding onto our mother as she climbs a tree, I guess.
Yeah. Whereas a newly born deer will get up within a few minutes of being popped out and can walk.
Well, I mean, humans are born as fetuses because the cavities of females never evolved big enough to allow the human head at its full brain size.
Ah, yeah, right. Yeah.
Because the human brains became so big that we couldn't squeeze ourselves out any bigger or something. And otherwise, women would be all misshapen.
Evolution hasn't caught up with the giant vagina yet.
Yeah, we haven't got a giant vagina yet. Peter, you don't have a big enough vagina at this point in history. I don't mean to insult you, but that's true.
Oh, dear.
Now, go into Quora for a second. I want to see some of these questions that they've got going on over here. Tell me if you see a question that sparks your interest. Dead air. You would think we'd edit this silence out, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Are you on the website?
I'm on the website, yeah. I was just reading a couple of things. There's some funny ones on there.
Go on.
Something about some monster that soldiers saw in the Vietnam War.
Really?
Like a Yeti of some sort.
Sasquatch.
Looks like an Asian version of a Sasquatch as well.
Really? Has it got...
It's a picture. It's not a photograph.
So it's not evidence. Yeah, go on.
It's a rock ape. It's only about 6 foot tall. So that's probably why the Asian ones are only 6 foot. And
wait, is he stooping over?
He's in like the classic Sasquatch pose, actually. Like
so if he stood upright, he could be 8 foot.
No, they're saying he's 6 foot.
Well, I guess that's giant to a Vietnamese person.
Well, that's right. It's all relative. So it's a rock ape. So rock ape is the name given to creatures allegedly spotted by multiple American soldiers during the Vietnam War. However, even prior to the war, stories floated around of jungle people. These jungle people were bipedal and ape-like, standing about 6 foot tall. They were stoutly built and very muscular, but had protruding stomachs, like many fat tummies. Like many unknown ape-like creatures, they were also covered in hair, either brown or black, with the exception of their knees and soles of their feet and hands, and their faces, which were all hairless. The jungle people tended to live in more isolated, remote areas. Surprise, surprise. Keeping to themselves. However, if a human made the unfortunate mistake of crossing their path, they would become bold and aggressive and would not have any hesitation in attacking the unlucky intruder. The jungle people were at their most active at dusk or during the night, and if they travelled, they would do so in packs. This fact would explain some aspects of the sightings later reported by American soldiers. Anyway, the story goes on.
Bit too much napalm, I think, in the morning.
They definitely saw them. They saw packs of them. And
weren't they on heroin and shit?
Oh, man.
Keep them going?
All sorts of shit, mate. Sounds like a pretty funny story.
Yeah.
They were getting rocks thrown at them by the... They're probably just Viet Cong
Every
soldiers.
single person you were talking about making these reports would have been armed with an AK-47 at least.
Yeah. Yeah, M16 probably.
There's no way they're scared of a bloody monkey.
I don't know. Looks pretty scary.
You'd need an entire tribe of these things coming over the hill at you, like throwing rocks like big Ewoks, cutting ropes and making your head get smudged in by 2 falling logs. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. I don't think that's happened. And so, what's the resource for that? Does it tell you?
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I've gone on from them.
Okay, go on.
They're just talking about. Yeah, it's just some massive bullshit story.
What's the next one? Just on a side note, though, since it's current events, it's 11th of October 2020. On the 3rd of November, I think it is, America's going to vote to either keep Donald Trump in power as the president for the next 4 years again.
Wow.
Or replace him.
Fuck, man.
Joe Biden, basically. They don't give a fuck about the other 20,000 parties they've got in America. It's only those 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Democrats versus Republicans. And the media pushes that, don't it? It's just like,
yeah.
It's just like, which party do you want? This one or these other ones? No, this one. They just don't. It should be, the media is responsible for pushing to a 2-party system. Even though the entire ballot has so many other parties to choose from, and I'm sure they couldn't fill out every state with the number of members they've got or whatever, but it'd be nice to see them get 30% or something of the vote once in a while, like the Greens Party or something.
Yeah, fucking A, man.
Same as Australia. We've just got a 2-party system the last 100 years. So the deal is, in Australia, we've got the Labor Party and then a coalition of the National and Liberal parties. I can't even imagine how they would win if it was just one of those 2 parties versus the Labor Party.
Yeah.
I mean, why doesn't the Labor Party merge with the Greens? Because the Greens get like 10% of the vote as well, right? So that'll be an extra 10% on top of what they currently get.
But that might scare off some of the centrists from the Labor Party.
Oh, I see. So the National Party is basically the rural party of Australia. We're talking about federal politics here, the whole country. So National Party is representing lots of different townships. Because there are 150 electorates, like geographical sliced up areas throughout Australia. If you sliced Australia into 150 almost equal population areas that are 25 million people.
Yeah.
What's 25 million divided by 150? Hey, Siri. She doesn't care. She barely answers me. All right. Anyway, whatever that number is, That's approximately the number in each electorate. So each one of those represents a seat in the government.
Yeah,
in the House of Representatives.
Right.
Which is I guess they call it the lower house. So the lower house is the people who decide on laws, or they say bills. I think a bill is a law that has not yet been passed. So they decide on bills for changing the law. And then the Senate is the upper house, and they say, yep, that's fine, or no, that's not fine. I think that's the way the government works.
Right, okay, yeah, I know, yeah.
And so if there are 150 seats altogether, 150 electorates, if you have 76, you hold the majority and you become the government, the ruling government.
Right, okay.
For the next 4 years.
Okay, yes, right.
And if everyone else, the 74 people, 74 seats, 74 members for all the other electorates, they could be all over the place. But they have to sort of like let the bill go through that day as well.
Yeah.
And if you're a fuckwit enemy shadow government, you'll say no to everything and no changes will ever be made. And they don't care that the public suffer. They just want the main people in charge to not get their way. And that's the way it's become. It's not
also, it's like they're setting them up to so that they might be able to embarrass them or some on TV or something.
Yeah. I reckon it would be if I saw a government that was saying, I really approve of what the government in charge has done on this particular point. They've done a really good job.
Yeah.
I'd be like, wow, that's worth. I respect that opposition now. They're not just full of shit.
I don't understand why that hasn't happened more in the past. I don't understand why they can't do that. I really don't.
Because if you're constantly saying no, everything they do is wrong, right?
You sound stupid when you do that.
You know, exactly.
I reckon you sound stupid anyway.
That's right. So they should occasionally go, no, we're totally fine with what they're doing. It's good. They've done a good job on this point.
Fucking oath they should. Sorry, mate. I'm back water.
So what is your thought on how long it's going to take for us to become a multi-planetary species?
Oh, well,
you said moon base has to happen first, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, like just from other podcasts I listen to that talk about it, it seems to make the most sense. Because, like, going to the moon is like 3 or 4 days, whereas going to Mars is like, was it like 6 to 12 months or something? Like, depending on.
Yeah, it makes sense, definitely. Yep. And of course, I think the moon's gravity is only 1/6 of Earth.
Yeah.
So you could build some big stuff on the moon without having to worry about building stuff, which is difficult in space. You got some gravity to work with on the moon. Yeah. Everything's going to fall down into its position that you needed to go into without having to worry about it floating away all the time.
Yeah, big time.
Like, so the space station right now is traveling 18,000 kilometers an hour around the planet. Yeah, it's not actually in what you would consider zero gravity space at all.
No.
It's like the gravity on the space station is about the same as on Earth. They're just falling constantly.
Yeah.
They're traveling parallel to the ground on Earth. Not that high.
I think every day they drop. They've got to constantly readjust their orbit because they're constantly dropping into Earth.
But they'd get enough energy for that just from their solar panels, wouldn't they? Just to give enough. Like their booster rockets, do they need to be?
I'm not sure.
Refueled? I mean, it's not just air, is it? It's not just compressed air.
I'm not sure.
It's a fire, isn't it?
I don't think it can be compressed air if you're in orbit. It has to be like.
No, well, it is because like if you shot a bullet in space, you'd fly in the opposite direction.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah.
So if you shot some air, that would just recorrect your direction.
Right. Okay, yeah.
It's like, but wings don't matter. I had an interview with Elon Musk the other day about the design of rockets and having them land, because it's about $35 million for a booster rocket. And in the old days, they used to just land in the ocean and smash up, right?
Yeah, that's right. And now they're retrofitted or something.
Yeah, and they can land and they can catch them. So
that's amazing.
It's worth it. Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like I remember when my friend showed me his drone for the first time about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He pressed something on his phone and the thing took off and just hovered, absolutely stable, 1 meter above the ground.
That's
for everyone from now onwards, that's going to be like, huh? Of course it did. It's normal, right?
Yeah.
Like, but for my generation, that's science fiction.
Yeah.
To see, like stuff just hover. Hover stuff is like, I'm so glad it's happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so automatic stabilizers in drones, like there is absolutely, just for those of you who are listening back to this podcast from the far reaches of the future, or maybe 2 years in the future, we do not have Uber that picks us up from the sky yet. And pizzas are not delivered from the sky either. We're in the primitive days of humanity.
Do you reckon that's up next? Do you reckon that's happening next?
Well, I mean, in Africa, they don't have proper roads, right? But they need to feed all the different towns and everything, especially with the UN and other NGO type organizations like Oxfam and Médecins Sans Frontières and stuff. They want to distribute food and everything to all those African, let's say, colonies or towns or villages, but they don't have roads. So what they need to do is have a swarm of drones that go to sort of recharge hives all the way along, and just carry not just mail, but food and seeds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and then there's the whole problem of annual bushfires in Australia or California.
Yeah.
And other places we don't hear about in the news. Fire shouldn't be a problem now. Like I'm absolutely appalled that every year we're like, oh no, there's a flood in wintertime. Oh no, there's a bushfire in summertime. It just goes on and on and on forever. Like, how has that not been solved?
Well, I don't know. I think it's a pretty tough solve, man. Like,
now, come on. A swarm of drones, just take a teaspoon of water from the local lake each. Like, just do 1 million drones. Brrr, water, 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 water. Make it rain. If we haven't got weather control systems in place, then at least we can dump some water from the local river or from the ocean or whatever. I don't want to put salt water all over the forest, but...
Yeah.
Come on, that can't be that hard. Superman just bloody picked a lake up on his fingertip one time. Remember that? And he was from the 70s.
Yeah, and in the 60s, we were going to have flying cars by the year 2000.
I expected it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but not the. How funny is it though? Like, but you know what? It's highly possible as like a drone situation, but
yeah.
Like back in the day, it used to be like, the runway car, sort of like, yeah.
George Jetson? I don't remember the thing. Okay, here's a test for you. Can you do the Jetsons theme song?
No.
Because every time I do it, I get stuck in the Simpsons song. Meet George Jetson. Ding, 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 ding,
okay.
ding, ding. His wife Judy. Ding, 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 ding.
Is that is it the same composer?
What did you? I don't know. I think they'd be years apart. And Hanna-Barbera isn't the same as Matt Groening. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, his daughter Judy, Jane, his wife. Jane, his wife. No,
that's Simpsons.
I know. Yeah. Because I think when I listened back to it recently, it wasn't a very catchy tune. It was just those words that made it any good.
Yeah, right.
Like the Flintstones was a catchy song.
Yeah.
A lot of TV shows have had really catchy theme songs, and I think a good band would put those all together and make a set list out of it, out of the best TV theme songs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right, what else you got in Quora?
I don't know. It's got to do these fucking random things. What is the SpaceX Kestrel rocket engine? So that must be the new. Oh, this is the one we were just talking about, actually. the Falcon 1 rocket.
Yeah.
I'll just see how long it is. I don't want to read the heaps out. No, it's quite. It looks a bit technical, actually.
Tell me about your addiction to nicotine.
Mine?
Yeah, I'm smoking a vaporizer right now because I am addicted. In the future, nobody will be because it's like it's illegal. It's always been illegal. What are you talking about? But for me, cigarettes were actually my savior from isolation. It totally made my boredom and loneliness go away.
Yeah.
And then these vaporizer things came out, which meant less cancer. And so I sort of started switching to that. And now they're making this illegal in Australia to import it. When that happens, I might just leave the country because I am addicted. I'll forget about cigarettes.
The nicotine stuff?
Yeah, because I have to import nicotine vape e-juice from New Zealand at the moment.
Ah, right.
But they were going to ban the import of this in Australia. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, they want people to stop smoking. They've made cigarettes $50 a packet now.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I don't
$5.
Smoke. Yeah, I don't smoke very much. I don't smoke like every day anymore, so it's okay. But I do buy a packet occasionally for when I have a couple of drinks on a Friday, Saturday night. And yeah, it's crazy expensive. I'm glad I don't smoke like
it. Which brand do you get? Do you get the cheapest, shittiest, harshest cigarettes, or do you get nice
Pretty
ones?
Much. I just get. Depends on my mood. Generally, the cheaper ones though.
There's a huge difference.
There is, yeah, because sometimes the more expensive ones will they'll last longer as well. But it's not just that they taste nicer.
Okay, because I always got Benson and Hedges Smooth, and they're expensive. People bumped cigarettes off me in the old days. I was always generous. Here, have a couple. Yeah. So, can I have some for my friend as well?
Yeah.
So, here you go. And then, but now it's like $3 per cigarette or some shit.
Yeah.
Stupid, like $2, but still expensive.
Yeah, man, it's crazy times.
What's another major restriction that's happened to Australia recently? Melbourne's the worst. Like where I'm living, we're not allowed to leave the house. I'm allowed to leave the house now after 9 p.m. as of 2 weeks ago, I think.
After
well, it used to be 8 p.m. We couldn't leave.
Okay.
Between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. 8 p.m. until 5 a.m. was lockdown.
Right. Okay.
And
now it's 9 p.m. to.
No, it was 9 p.m. after that for a month or so, and now it's become you can just stay out all night. I think the restriction is 2 hours now. I think you're allowed to go out for exercise.
Okay.
But my sister took her kids to the park the other day, and the police told them to move along because they were climbing a tree.
What?
Yeah.
What is that? What, they're going to give Corona to the tree or something?
No, it's just the law. You're not allowed. I mean,
they're not allowed to be in the park.
Well, they weren't allowed on the playground equipment, so they went to the tree instead.
Ah, I see. Right.
But recently they've opened up the playground equipment, so that's amazing. It's a huge opening, and I'm still not allowed to go more than 5 kilometers from my what my ID says, basically.
At any time.
Well, I'm part of a bubble. That's another rule I just opened up. So because I live by myself, I'm allowed to create a bubble with one other person.
One other person?
Yeah. So my sister, she lives 25 Ks.
Okay. So you can have the same 5 kilometer rule there at her place and your place.
No, well, I can't just go and loiter and exercise from her place. Right. I would have to prove that I'm in the bubble there, and then the rest of the time I'm restricted to 5 kilometers.
Is that paperwork? You got paperwork for that?
I don't have paperwork for the bubble. That's a trust system.
Okay. Right.
But there's no way I would get away with traveling to my mom's place, which is outside of Melbourne. It's illegal to leave Melbourne.
Right.
If you're in Melbourne.
Fuck, it's so crazy, man. It's like, because it's so different here. I mean, they closed the parks down here when it all first happened. But they've been open now for ages. Like it's all the shops still have like sanitizer at the front, and there's signs up for social distancing, but it doesn't. It's not. There's nothing anywhere.
And what about if you wanted to travel to another town?
We can go anywhere in South Australia.
Really?
We've been able to do that the whole time. That was never a restriction.
Okay, what about you work in hospitality, so what about drinking? You're allowed to drink while not sitting down?
Yes.
So you don't have to be sitting down to have a drink?
No.
Just walk around and just go bar hopping?
Yeah, and that happens at our place on Friday, Saturday nights. There's these two little side streets that are just full of tiny little bars, and they're always full.
Do you find that people have changed their behaviour in terms of, let's say, punters? You call them punters? The customers of hospitality?
Oh yeah, kind. Yeah. I know. I think in general people have changed a little bit. Yeah, for sure, definitely.
I'll tell you what. In Melbourne, they have. Melbourne has always been an indoor city. Nobody's ever been outside. You can walk for miles and not see anybody. But now, you go past any park, it's packed with picnickers. It's awesome. Right. It's like Sydney. Yeah. Like Sydney. When I first went to Sydney, it was like everyone's outdoors. It's like utopia. But now Melbourne sort of discovered that outdoorness as well. Every single park, even the park across the road from me, which is just a middle of the road park surrounded by like 4-lane roads.
Yeah.
It's
packed.
It's packed.
I never knew that about Melbourne. I didn't think that was a thing.
It's a very indoor city.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
The weather's not as bad as like England, but it's, winter time is usually 1 degree.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 1 degree.
What's Adelaide like in winter?
Yeah, it gets pretty frosty because we get it's from the water, the Arctic, the Antarctica is straight across the water.
That's right.
So we do get some cold nights here for sure, but it doesn't frost like it did. I remember in Cessnock used to be really cold.
That's inland.
Had a bit of elevation as well.
Oh, okay.
And that used to in winter that would frost like probably 10 to 15 days a year. So like you'd wake up in the morning and all the grass would be crunchy.
And the windscreen, you never had to scrape it or anything.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes I remember that taking ages. We used to put water on it, and you just have to just wait till it got to a certain point, and then it would sort of flake off.
Because when I lived in Belgium, it was -15 in winter, and there were people. Everyone had sort of like a bag of salt next to their front door, and they'd have to just sprinkle that over the footpath so you don't slip over on the icy footpath. Yeah, and then on the windscreen of the cars, people used to have to spend about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes scraping with a special ice scraper. The ice off the windscreen. There's no way windscreen wipers would do the job. They were probably embedded in the ice.
Far out. Yeah, wow. That's I don't think I'd want to live that cold.
No, exactly.
I do like the cold more than I do the really hot.
Well, I mean, snow. It's fun to be surrounded by snow. Some people ski to school.
Yeah,
imagine growing up like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Literally. I'm impressed with the tree outside my apartment. Like this tree that sort of hangs over my balcony. All winter, up until about 3 weeks ago, it was like a dead stick.
Yeah. A
big dead stick. I could see easily the park and everyone could see in, and I was worried about, because I'm always awake until, 10 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
So I'm watching movies sometimes on the ceiling projector and everything. And they're going bow wow, bow 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 wow, and I don't want people to see that, right?
Yeah.
So, but now these baby leaves have grown all over my tree, and it's just completely green. It's
That's
like
unreal.
Hugging a puppy. It's like the softest leaves ever. Trees know exactly what time of year it is.
Yeah.
This goes back to my thing about instinct and inbuilt knowledge before you're even born. Like there are certain creatures that sort of have knowledge ingrained, like the salmon that swim back to their place they were born to breed.
Yeah, the turtle.
And weird. Yeah. Does that spook you?
It does, actually. It does.
Well, what do you reckon the explanation is for this? How does the brain have these kind of internal bits of knowledge that don't require learning at all. There's no learning during your life that requires it. You're simply born with the knowledge that this is your geographical place on this planet to go back to breed, and we're all going to do it. Like, how the hell does that get programmed in? Isn't that strange?
It's incredible.
To evolve, to have knowledge. I mean, I understand a lot of the schooling we had with evolution was to talk about how fingers can turn into webbed fingers so you can swim better.
Yeah.
Or like basically there are some people who are born with webbier fingers by random selection, and those survived over the millennia, and the ones that did not have webbier fingers died out. That's basically our explanation for evolution, right? But they didn't really go into
at a school level, yeah.
But they didn't really go into the ones who were programmed with a specific fucking latitude and longitude of where to return to on the planet to breed, survived, or the ones whose
I don't think it's fully explained even yet, and especially when we're at school, that sort of stuff, I don't think it's fully explained.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
But I think
brain stuff.
They speculate. They think it's like the brain recognizes like magnetism or something like that, and it allows them to.
Well, I know with pigeons they do. Pigeons are known to have be able to read the magnetic field of the Earth, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's why they're able to navigate back to their home. They're homing pigeons, and they have races. Millions of pigeons are killed every year. These cruel sports. It's actually a death sport, pigeon racing.
Yeah, wow.
Because they have to fly over the ocean. Because I think they take them away from their young or away from their partner or something, and they want to get back home, and they can easily find out where that is because they've got a compass in their brain, even though it's a tiny little head that they've got. They've still got a compass in there that goes, I'm flying this way. And all the pigeons are flying straight to where they came from. No matter where on the Earth they came from, they're flying back to it because they're amazing compass. I mean, if you were a sailor, you'd take a pigeon, wouldn't you?
That's pretty mental. Yeah.
And the pigeon's just like suddenly spinning this way and trying to flap. And maybe you'd tie a piece of string and just like steer the ship this way.
Yeah.
Like the pigeon's going to guide us home.
Too funny. You'd have to get a few of them just in case they puffed out and fell in the water.
I'm not talking about being nice to animals. I'm just talking about logic.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible thing. I think whales use that similar sort of thing.
Oh, do they? What's the deal with whales? They seem highly intelligent.
Yeah, well, they seem to, some of them migrate the whole length of the Earth. I think, don't they?
Yeah, the Earth is their playground, basically.
Yeah.
No one animal that travels as far as a whale.
But the grey whale? I think does some massive migration.
And length of lifespan in some animals, like some sharks. Like I saw a photograph of one the other day. They said this one was 373 years old.
Oh, is that like the Greenland shark? Is it?
Maybe.
I think it's that one. Yeah, this huge deep water shark. It's a massive one.
Yeah.
I think I heard recently the oldest living animal that they found, and they fucking killed it. It was some shellfish in like Norway, and they reckon it was like 500 and something years old.
Shit. Why did they kill it?
Because I can't remember. Like it was because they were trying to study it or something, and it died.
Just we're fucking stupid.
Bum.
But the oldest tree. Do you reckon the oldest tree is older than the oldest animal?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like over 10,000 years old. The oldest tree.
Really? Which country?
So, yeah, in one of the Scandinavian countries, I think it was.
That's a hard place to survive, though.
Maybe Sweden. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe that it took it to be a hard-ass tree. It didn't look like a very special tree. Look it up. Have you got it on Google?
The oldest tree. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Oldest tree.
Pretty sure it was over 10. It was just over 10,000 or just under 10,000.
The bristlecone pine tree, the oldest tree in the world, is not always easy dating a living tree, but most experts agree that a bristlecone pine tree Pinus longevia, in California's White Mountain Range, nicknamed Methuselah, is over 4,700 years old.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm mistaken.
This is a pretty spectacular looking tree. This looks like a wise tree. I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
this tree's the wisest looking tree I've ever seen. If I was going to go as a monk, as an old man, on my death walk, on walkabout, this is the tree I'd visit. Look at it. It's fucking smart. It's a smart tree. It knows shit. It's seen everything. 4,700. That, what year was that in terms of our? So Jesus was born 2,20 years ago.
So this is like pyramids. This is like Great Pyramid building.
Yeah. This was basically born at the time the Sphinx was finished, I guess. Yeah, it didn't see much though. It only saw its own local vicinity. Maybe one time a snow leopard came and pissed on it. I don't know. That's its biggest event. Imagine if you graduate after life as a human. It's like, you lived a good life. Here is your reward. And then you're born as a seedling, and you become a tree. You're like,
yeah,
great. Now what? Patience. And there's always this occasional, every 100 years or so, this voice says, "You'll learn patience," right? Or something. like, what am I supposed to do? I can't even reach over to scratch my ass. This is shit. I'm a tree. What do I do? Just experience autumn, winter, spring, summer, autumn, winter, spring. Birds come and like make a little nest. You're like, oh, I love you, little bird. And then you watch the bird die of old age and its fledglings die. And it's like a blink of an eye for you. You just watch the moon come out and the sun come out and the moon come out and the sun come out, and you're like, all right, I've figured out the constellations. Now what?
Yeah.
Can't leave.
You'd want to be an ant, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd want to be an ant.
Yeah, big time.
If I was an ant, I'd be like, all right, let's talk about interplanetary ant lifestyles. Like, moon, at least. The moon. Come on.
What? Like, you want to be an ant on the moon?
Well, I'd prefer to be an ant, like, who can choose if it wants to go to the moon. Put a little ant fucking space helmet on and just go, like, leaping around the moon, then just be stuck, rooted in the ground in some national park in California.
So, but the ant would need what, a carbon dioxide
Yeah, that's true. In fact, I think Mars has got heaps of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So you'd be pretty good. If you're a tree, just go and live on Mars. You'd be fine, I reckon.
You'd need to bring some soil with you, I reckon.
Yeah, bit of soil. It's like a nest. Yeah. But you know the weird thing is,
I wonder if a fucking tree could breathe on Mars.
If it can, well, that's fine. Terraforming it would be no problem, right?
Yeah, temperature would be an issue until it was terraformed.
Can you just take all the seeds that are required to plant onto Mars and just grow that stuff? Like, because the redness on Mars is rust, right?
Yeah.
The whole planet is just covered in rust.
Yeah.
It's not a good place for a tree.
No, it's not.
But if you took a pot with soil in it and just sealed it up so that the rust didn't get in there, you'd have enough to live on. Because soil doesn't decrease. If you look at a plant's weight, if you put a seed into some soil and then you grow that into a tree, the soil has barely reduced.
Right.
It's the tree's weight or mass does not equal the soil that you think it was eating. No, basically,
water,
carbon dioxide. Yeah.
Sunlight and carbon dioxide.
Yeah. So the carbon dioxide is converted into carbon. That's the bulk of its weight.
And sunlight's turned into sugars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I would have thought that the tree would have easily eaten the soil that was sitting
on. I think it takes nutrients out of the soil. So the soil needs to be replenished over time with certain nutrients, which naturally happens in the world with water runoff and animals shitting and animals dying and stuff like that.
Mm.
That's what replaces the nitrogen and stuff in the soil, which is because plants can't make their own nitrogen, so that they always need that.
Okay, given that you think we're sort of in the distant past right now, right? Given what we can imagine,
Yeah.
Like, if you had to send a message right now, because this is being recorded, to the people of the future, what would you want them to know about the terrible lives we're living back here? We were only got allowed to live for 80 years instead of being immortal and, being stuck on one planet.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, but it's kind of a good life as well. Like, this is the age of everything. We've got everything we could possibly. And anyone who's got a little bit of money in this world can pretty much have whatever you want.
Yeah, but money probably doesn't even matter in the future. Like, you're having to cook food. That doesn't probably need to be done when you've got replicators and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether they can ever be replaced. But it's my job. I love it. So
Yeah, but robots will do it better.
Yeah, it probably will. Yeah.
They'll do exactly the proportions. You'll train the robot once, they'll do exactly what you showed them.
Most of the foods available now might not be available in the future because we're fucking up the world.
Potentially. But can't we just use DNA genetic engineering to recreate anything we want?
Yeah, possibly.
Like, I've heard some music. I've heard a symphony constructed by AI. Right? It's basically
I've heard something like that too, yeah.
It was supposed to be a continuation of I think it was Bach or somebody.
Yeah, I think I heard that actually on.
Yeah, and it was totally. And I saw these kids reviewing it. These cello nerds.
Yeah.
Reviewing it. They were pretty impressed. If they're impressed, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Like, this thing was like bringing in the notes, second violins and stuff.
Yeah.
So
wow.
what can't an AI do once it's sort of learned? There's nothing left for us to do. We are the monkeys. We're the Neanderthals. And they don't even need to kill us off. We just die off because they'll just go like, breeding terminated. Right? And the Last of Us will just live our final days without being able to breed.
Yeah.
And it'll just be, they'll just, I don't know, whether or not they'll just be made out of metal, or they'll choose to bring themselves, or to convert themselves into beings of light that can transmit themselves as data to any point in the universe that they want. And this, use the resources at the end point to replicate their bodies out of whatever sulfurs or carbons are available at
whatever
the
it is
point at the other side.
Yeah.
I feel like we're the last of the people who used to use metal and plastic, and then in the future it'll just be robots.
But
yeah, but I mean, not robots like we have seen them in TV shows. It'll be more like data transmission, and then create reality around their own desires. I mean, okay, imagine you're born 10,000 years in the future from now, and you are a robot. You've just been made, right? You've just been manufactured.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on Kepler 22b in another star system.
Yeah.
Right. What's your Do you think you would care that there was once a thing called humans?
Of course you wouldn't. No.
You wouldn't give a shit, right?
No.
And the affairs of like racism and women's rights and food and starvation and equality.
It wouldn't make sense to you.
It's almost like anything we create our thoughts and energies on right now in the present day, it's the same as somebody concentrating on whether or not we should fight against the Inquisition, against witch hunts and stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't want to waste my life on present day issues when I know they'll be obsolete by the time I'm dead. It's like a soldier fighting for a particular president, and then that president is replaced by another president who disagrees and thinks the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And now those soldiers have to turn around and start fighting with the people they were immediately allied with.
Yeah.
It's like America and Germany are now allies, and Japan.
Yeah.
Even though they were fighting to the death, and the people who were old and fought in those wars and just lost all their friends and everything, they're told they're old fools for being stuck in the old ways and being racist and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah, like nothing seems permanent, but people care about things as if they are. So it's like current events are almost like a waste of your time. Watching the news is a waste of your time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that sometimes?
I rarely watch the news. I read the news on my phone. I rarely watch it.
Just so you can be part of history a little bit.
Oh no, when I read it, I can flick through boring stuff. I can just go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And just read the interesting stuff. But yeah. I mean, look, it's always the same old story, isn't it? You know, football player slapped his girlfriend. It's record temperatures here. Fucking priest raped another child.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same 3 stories every week.
And the other thing is all the things we're hoping to overcome, like, for example, religion. Like one day superstition will be extinct. People will be considered laughable if they're looking at star formations and seeing a crab. It's like, what are you smoking? Like, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, there was a man once who washed away the sins of the world by being crucified because the creator of the universe gave an apple to somebody and said, don't eat it. And they did. And then he punished all of humanity.
Yeah.
But then he sent his son and said, kill me.
Yeah.
In the most horrendous way possible so that my torment will wash that sin away. Like, what the fuck?
Cool
It's a
story,
whole bunch of bullshit. It's this whole... in lots of other religions are worse.
Cool
There are
story.
some dumbass fucking things that
Oh,
we've
man.
wasted our entire lives worrying about.
What about Mormonism with the con man Joseph Smith goes into the forest and sees the looking stones, but then he loses them, and then he's got to make up the story in his head, and then he like loses them again or something. And
what was the musical? I've heard it was a really good musical. I haven't seen it.
Oh, I have too. It was on here, but it was
The Book of Mormon.
Yeah, it was quite expensive, so I didn't bloody go.
I would like to see that. I love South Park.
I'd love to see that too. I've heard it's hilarious.
So what does that leave if we're left with sort of like an existence that's finite to 80 years? You're nearly, so you got 40, maybe 45, 50 years left.
Yeah.
What do you reckon you should spend your time doing? You know that robots are going to take your job in the end. So, I mean, the thing is, you could potentially discover delicious new recipes and so on, given your experience, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got a heightened palate, right? Let's say you can taste things in your mind and then go, yeah, that'll work, right?
Yeah.
You could easily come up with the ultimate recipe book, even, right? Or even one delicious meal like that could define the country. Like a pavlova currently defines Australia. Pavlova, Tim Tams, and Vegemite currently. I think pavlova might be New Zealand, but are these not the 3 foods that Australians are famous for?
Yeah.
Couldn't you just say no? Australia has to be competing with Italian food, right? We have to compete with Chinese food, Mexican food. Now, a lot of these foods follow a very... I love Mexican food, but it is all the same, right? They're tortilla of some shape, right? And then they've got some guacamole and salsa and sour cream. And then with Italian, they've got the soft wheat, basically in different forms, which is lasagna and all sorts of pasta shapes, which is all the same thing.
It's all the same recipe.
So... is there any other food in the world, like maybe Thai, right? Thai as well. Thai, Chinese, Italian, and Mexican. Can you think of another famous restaurant? Japanese, maybe with their sushi.
Yeah, I mean,
What else is there?
What other? Can I think of any other type of food?
Or famous countries' food? Like, why can't you be the guy?
Indian.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Indian. I love Indian. Okay. So could you compete with India and their entire, I don't know, 5,000 years of food development and do it in one single month? develop
No.
an Australian
No.
an Australian cuisine that's quintessentially going to be the next 1,000 years is going to say Australia stands apart, and this will be part of our culture that will define us.
Well, we'd need to have a particular like carbohydrate that defined us. Like that's all those countries have those like a particular.
But
thing.
didn't Italy steal spaghetti from Chinese noodles?
Chinese noodles, yeah, but then they called it pasta and they cooked it al dente. They did it a little bit different.
Yeah, well then do something like that then. Modify into Australian.
Yeah,
Like, do we need a native plant?
I wouldn't even know where to start thinking about trying to do something like that.
Okay, what's a native Australian plant that you use in cooking?
Well, there's heaps, but I'm not that experienced with native Australian stuff. I've never worked in a place that's really used it, but it's actually something that is just starting to. I'm seeing a lot more around, but man, I'm not really familiar with that sort of stuff. I guess like lemon myrtle would be like probably the most popular straight up one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a leaf, like a lemon sort of flavored leaf.
But isn't there something as like base as like potatoes, wheat, or rice?
Well, I mean, I guess we've got like the damper bread. But,
oh yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, we've got that, I guess.
So that's just wheat.
It's just flour. It's bread. It's just bread. It's a type of bread.
What defines a country's cuisine?
Oh man, like time, man. Culture and time, like old recipes from your grandma and your grandma's grandma and that sort of stuff.
But if you opened a chain restaurant of Australian fast food drive-through restaurants that all had the same sort of thing, that would immediately become the new Australian norm, right?
I guess so, but I don't know what that would be.
I don't want kangaroos to suffer as a result, or emus to suffer, or koalas.
The Bunnings sausage sandwich is probably the closest.
Like that.
Anyway, Paulie, what do you reckon about winding it up for tonight, mate?
Go on. Good
night.
night.
We'll do another one soon. All right. Good night, everybody. Love you all.
Love you all. See ya.
See you, Paulie. Bye.
Bye.